even when the show is scripted, it can feel like it's really unfolding. It has this feeling like it's really sort of being improvised, and that the band is somehow the imagination of the Blue Man, or somehow the emotional life of the Blue Man. It's able to feel like it is following the Blue Man rather than, you know, just a piece of recorded music. So that was one of the reasons why we always insisted that it be live.
We have to be paying absolute attention to what's going on in the show, because we don't know when the Blue Man is going to do this action that we have to cue. We just have to be there watching him while you're playing this part, and you have to think about musically when you're going to cue that part.
So there's a really cool moment in the show where we get to see in real time how the band is the language for the Blue Man, how the band is providing the thought process for the Blue Man as they're moving through it. And it's while we're doing something called feast picking. While we're searching for someone, the band is there to underscore the entire thing. And they are picking up on the most subtle things. They are paying attention to our pace and our intensity. They are paying attention to the subtle little check-ins that we have as Blue Men. And then finally, once we find someone, the band has built to this amazing height where it's just it's part celebration, part just release of tension, and the whole audience just has this feeling of don't know quite what we just went through, but some big decision was made and something big is about to happen next.
It's really subtle, like body language, because the Blue Men are far enough away that we can't really see facial expressions. When they're searching for that feast guest, we have to really notice a change in the rate at which they're moving. And when they check in and all of a sudden you see them, there's a little bit of like a pickup of energy.
It's unique. You wouldn't see this anywhere else. The thing that I enjoy the most about it is we're characters. We get to play a part just like the Blue Men. We're a knowing music spiritual leader. You know, we're doing a ritual. There's a thing that's happening on stage. It's rather rejoicing and celebratory. And so the drumming that accompanies that, you know, as intense and heavy as it looks, it's also supposed to be something with revelry and very, you know, like a proud thing where we're trying to unveil this really cool connective story through the show with the Blue Men without any spoken word. You know, everything that we play is the voice of the Blue Men. So the necessary skills to become a Blue Man Group drummer, pretty different. You know, it's a aggressive, raw drumming style, as I mentioned before. It's something that you can't really learn. You just have to have this innate ability to project, perform, you know, energy on high. A lot of drummers tend to be a little more reserved and groove-oriented, but this drummer style needs to have just all on the table type of feel.
We had received a DVD where we learned all the music ahead of time. There was still this intensive process of just playing this material until it was just natural for you, until you didn't have to think about it anymore.
I became a music instrument technician for the show in Las Vegas in 2001. I transitioned from MIT to full-time band. We had 2 full-time performers and they saw the need for another one. And so they selected me and asked me how I felt about putting the drum kit down officially and stepping into a full-time performer role. And at that point I realized that my dreams had come true, because I always wanted to be a performer. Blue Man as a technician was the second best thing. The transition was pretty fast, and before that, my first ever appearance as a Blue Man Group drummer was on the Ellen DeGeneres show. So I remember having to train in Las Vegas for a little while, and then they took me out and they flew me here to Orlando and said, we're gonna put you on TV with Ellen and Chris Bowen, and it was rather intimidating. So it definitely started the trajectory for me. After that, it's just been nonstop chaos and insanity.
One of the most compelling things, especially when I travel to other cities to do casting, is just the incredible diversity and range of talent that we have in all of our cities. You can't really categorize what a Blue Man musician is exactly, because they all have such varying tastes. But I think the unifying factor is that everyone's just got their hand in so many buckets and has so many different skill sets. Oftentimes, like, the drummers will also know how to play guitar and other instruments. Just always really overwhelming to see the level of skill and talent that is in our Blue Man bands.
You need to be able to sort of be out of the world of what cool thing can I add, what cool part can I add, because drummers can tend to think that way. You need to get out of that world and more into the world of how am I serving the show? How am I helping to move this show and this story along?
We're here in the drum kit loft. I'm here to show you what our traditional Blue Man Group drum set looks like. These are the standard sizes that you'll see in all the Blue Man Group cities when it comes to a drum kit. These two big drums, the 14 and 16, are primarily used quite a bit for the patterns that we play. The cymbals that we have here, the selection of cymbals, are all very thin, very quick as far as the decay. You hit them and then they pretty much die very quickly because we don't want the traditional sounding cymbals to overpower the drums, the toms, because this is the primary focus of all these patterns that we play. It's a tom-oriented show. The cymbals are used as punctuation marks, just different colors to accentuate things that we need. All these voices get used at some point of the show for the pieces, just for, you know, the different things that we need them to do.
Everyone asks about this one because they can see it. It's a Chapman stick, and it's a 10-stringed guitar-like instrument. The Chapman stick you play by tapping, traditionally. Whereas a large part of the show, they take a chunk of bass string and they drag it across the bass strings of the Chapman stick. It's a totally different sound, you know, that sounds unlike anything, and it's playing a very rhythmic ziggy, 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 ziggy. And that's this sort of rhythmic drive that underlies a lot of the Blue Man rhythm, and that kind of gives this stuff a unique sound.
First we worked with the Chapman stick, and then there was another instrument a friend of ours had called a zither. It was a kind of a unique creation of his. It was sort of based on some Eastern European instruments that existed, but there was actually nothing like this.
Is a 96-stringed instrument that kind of looks like a tabletop guitar. On the bottom it has power chord sections tuned to different chords, and at the top is what's called the harp section, and then that is all run through a series of pedals that produces guitar-like sounds. I think it's a really cool instrument. The only unfortunate thing is you can't really see what's up there, so the people just see someone doing this and they think that they're playing keyboards or something, but all the guitar sounds are coming from that guy over there.
We started playing in black light. You know, we wanted them to feel like they were somehow from this spirit world, or some world of imagination, and maybe even, like I said, the imagination of the Blue Man. So having them up high, you know, whenever we can, and having them sort of in different lighting looks that are mysterious, I think that's very important.
Being in the costume and in the lights and all of that, you sort of take on a different persona. You become a creature who's just this primal force pounding on the drums. And at the same time, we're sort of the spinal fluid for the Blue Men, you know, we're kind of feeding them energy as they go out. And it's a trip because every day I go to work and here I am looking at these 3 shiny, bald blue dudes, and that's just every day for me, you know, it's really fun.
The band is really, it's always been one of my favorite parts of the show. Watching the band play, especially because they're, you know, they really are part of the show. They're in makeup. They serve as this sort of like thread throughout the show that's like a touchstone even at any point in the show. And so we want to find band members who are incredibly engaged with the environment of the show.
On several occasions, you know, in a week, we'll hear people that go like, "Yeah, you guys, that's a great show with those blue guys, but you guys are the show." You know, there are people that are sometimes, you know, fixated on us because it's odd. It's weird watching these guys jump around in these little boxes doing their thing, and sometimes people don't think we're doing this in real life. It's like we're just up there miming the instruments, and there's somebody pressing play on a CD. But you know, we're quite proud of the fact that everything is played live in every show. You know, mistakes and all. It's a organic thing every night. So I think the music is the best part of Blue Man Group, personally. But I'm biased.
How important is the band?
Not important at all. Next question. We could totally get through the show without the band.
All right, everybody, let's clap it up for the band. Thank you so much for coming, and clap, I know you're behind the screen and or I'm behind the screen, but either way, you have to clap. It's real. Clap. Thank you very much. Show gratitude. One of our principals here. Thank you, band. Thank you. Woo!